Jesus called out to his disciples and said, "Children, have you caught any fish?" When they answered no, Jesus instructed them, "Cast your nets to the right side," which they did. They caught an abundance of fish. Welcome to one of our vlogs from St. Mark's Episcopal in Dalton, Georgia. I've just quoted some scripture from the 21st chapter of John. This is after the resurrection, when Jesus appears to the 7 of the disciples, Peter and 6 others, on the Sea of Tiberias, or the Sea of Galilee. They were both known by that name at that time. Welcome to our vlog, like I said, and especially those on Facebook and YouTube who are joining us. And glad to have everyone with us today. It always kind of amuses me when I go to a wedding, and I've heard many ministers say this. They will make a statement, something to the effect that Jesus blessed marriages, as evidenced by his attending a wedding in Cana at the beginning of his ministry, and all of us know that story. Well, Jesus also, much more than he attended that one wedding, but he many times attended people who were fishing. And but fishing is not a sacrament, except maybe in some counties in Mississippi and Alabama. But fishing plays a big part of the gospel story. And like in Matthew, the 4th chapter, 19th verse, when Jesus calls out to his disciples and says, "I will make you fishers of men." Also in Luke, the chapter 5, there's a story similar to this one in John 21, though it's before the resurrection. They caught an abundance of fish, with Jesus doing that. Well, we're very familiar with the story that the people were fishing all night, had not caught anything. That Jesus, post-resurrection, appears to them, and and tells them, instructs them on where to fish, and they catch an abundance of fish, almost more than they can pull in with their nets at that time. But John, the gospel writer, told us they caught specifically 153 fish. Not a lot of fish, not an abundance of fish, not 152 or 154, but 153. Well, this week I learned something, which I love to do, is to learn something about the Bible that changed my understanding of this story completely and the meaning of the story. This comes from 2 scholars named Vanessa and Peter Steffens, who write about the New Testament, about the Hebrew versions of that. But they were pointing out that at this time in history, when this was written in the and especially in the Mediterranean and Middle East area, that there were 153 species of fish known to people at that time. 153 species. So that number is very symbolic, signifying every species of fish. Well, this changes the meaning of the story. It's not just a story about the disciples fishing and Jesus bringing them luck when he shows up and cooks breakfast for them. But this is good news, because the ministry of Jesus was directed specifically at the Jewish people in that area of the country. But Jesus is preparing his disciples in this story to spread the gospel to all, to cast nets in new places where they never had cast before, and to spread Jesus' ministry, seek to bring it not just to the Jews, but to all people. To send it, a lot of noise here, but to send this, to all people, all species of people, red and yellow, black and white, like the storybook tells us, but also people, who are rich, people who are poor, people male and female, slave and free, every type of person. Leave no one out. Spread the gospel to all people. And this is a great story, a message for us today, especially this Easter. So it's a powerful message for this Easter type season. And because of this message and the others of Jesus after his resurrection, we can say, thanks be to God. Hallelujah.